Ever feel like you're running a race and suddenly, bam, someone you've never even seen before just zooms past you?
Yeah.
It's kind of like what happened in AI, right? We're talking about like the biggest tech companies, Google, Alibaba, the whole crew. They were pouring billions into AI development.
Right.
And then out of nowhere,
Yeah.
this tiny startup DeepSeek just bursts onto the scene with this like groundbreaking general AI.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Totally wild, right?
Yeah.
You sent us this article that digs into how big tech missed this whole DeepSeek revolution.
Yeah.
So we're going to break it down
It's
together.
a really fascinating case study.
Right.
Yeah, the article makes it clear these companies weren't, just sitting around. They were actively working on AI, but there were some fundamental, flaws in their approach that held them back.
Okay, so let's get into it. The article uses this phrase, 100 model battle. It's like this picture of all these tech giants locked in this crazy race to create the best AI.
Right.
But then DeepSeek, this small startup focused mostly on stock trading, just comes in and totally changes the game.
It's pretty remarkable.
So what was it about this battle that tripped up big tech?
Well, imagine this battlefield, hundreds of these powerful AI models, each one super specialized, like you'd have one to write poetry, another to play chess. They were throwing so many resources at these hyper-specialized AI.
Right.
But they missed the bigger picture, the potential for a more general AI, something that could learn across a wider range of tasks.
Yeah.
DeepSeek saw that gap and went for it.
So it's like they were so focused on winning individual battles that they missed the chance to win the whole war.
Exactly. And the article digs into 3 major pitfalls that tripped up big tech,
Okay.
their organizational structures, their reward systems, and even how they approached strategy.
So basically a perfect storm that allowed a smaller company like DeepSeek to outmaneuver them.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
All right, so let's dive into those pitfalls one by one. Okay. First up, organizational structure. You'd think a company like Google, with all their resources, would be able to move super fast when it comes to innovation, right?
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Imagine I'm this brilliant engineer at Google. I've got this game-changing AI idea. Wouldn't they just let me run with it?
I mean, you would hope, but the reality is these huge tech companies, they become kind of victims of their own success,
Yeah.
They get so big and complex, bogged down by bureaucracy,
Right.
layers of management, endless meetings, risk-averse decision-making.
So even if I had this amazing idea,
Yeah.
instead of just hitting the ground running,
Right.
I'm stuck in meetings for months,
Yeah.
just trying to get permission to even test it.
That's unfortunately often the case. And by the time you get approval,
Yeah.
a smaller, more agile company like DeepSeek could already be way ahead.
It's like classic corporate inertia, just stifling innovation, huh?
Exactly.
And it's not just the red tape, right? The article also talks about how these companies reward their employees.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's almost like they're designed to incentivize playing it safe
Yeah.
instead of taking big risks. How does that tie into the whole DeepSeek situation?
Well, think about it this way. You're an engineer at a big tech company. Your performance is measured by hitting short-term targets, avoiding any, disruptions to the business.
Right.
Are you really going to push for some radical new idea that might not pay off right away?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or are you going to focus on, incremental improvements, the
Yes.
safe, predictable stuff?
It's true. If I'm constantly worried about getting penalized for missing a quarterly target or rocking the boat too much,
Right.
I'm probably going to stick to what's safe, right?
Exactly.
Even if it means missing out on a potentially game-changing opportunity.
Right.
Okay, so we got bureaucracy, risk aversion,
Yeah.
and the article also mentions strategic approaches as a pitfall.
Right.
They use this really interesting analogy. They say big tech spreads its resources like pepper powder.
It's a great analogy.
So I'm picturing someone just randomly shaking a pepper shaker over this giant plate of ideas.
Yeah, kind of.
They're hedging their bets across a ton of different projects instead of going all in on one big thing.
Exactly.
It sounds like a recipe for diluted focus.
It can be.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas DeepSeek,
Yeah.
they went all in on their core algorithm, put almost all their resources into it.
Right.
And it seems to have worked out pretty well for them.
It definitely did.
It really highlights the power of focus, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
But I am curious, wasn't DeepSeek mainly focused on stock trading before this AI breakthrough? So how do they even get into this whole AI race?
That's actually a really key part of this whole story. DeepSeek wasn't just some random startup
Yeah.
that, stumbled into AI success. They'd been using AI for years to like refine their stock trading algorithms,
Oh, interesting.
constantly pushing the boundaries of what their systems could learn and predict.
Okay.
And they recognized that the same like principles they were using for financial markets
Mm.
could be applied to other complex systems,
Right.
even like general intelligence.
So their experience in one area, stock trading,
Right.
actually gave them an advantage in developing a more general AI.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
It speaks to the importance of like cross-disciplinary thinking.
Yeah.
DeepSeek didn't just like stay in their lane,
Mhm.
They didn't limit themselves to the traditional boundaries of AI research. They approached it from a different angle
Okay.
and leveraged their expertise from this seemingly unrelated field
Mm-hmm.
to gain a fresh perspective. It's like they were able to connect the dots
Yeah.
that no one else even saw.
That's really cool. It makes you wonder, like, how many other breakthroughs are out there
Right.
just waiting to be discovered? If we start, like, thinking outside our usual box.
Exact.
So let's go back to big tech for a second.
Okay.
How have they reacted to this whole DeepSeek earthquake? They're not just, like, sitting back and watching, are they?
Oh, no, definitely not. The article mentions some of their responses. For example, Alibaba is promoting their Tongyi Tuanwen platform. They claim it's a major step forward in general AI.
Okay. But honestly, I've never even heard of it.
Right. And that speaks to a bigger issue. Even when they do make an effort to catch up, it often seems more focused on like PR and appearances than actually making, truly bold moves.
Mm-hmm. I guess it makes sense. If you built a multi-billion-dollar empire on online advertising, for example,
Right.
you might be a little hesitant to embrace a technology that could totally turn your world upside down.
For sure. It's that whole thing of disrupt yourself before someone else does.
Right, right. But DeepSeek hasn't just disrupted the AI landscape. They've also taken a very different approach with their commitment to, like, open sourcing their technology.
Yeah, the article really emphasizes that
And it seems like it's been a major game changer. Can you explain why that is?
imagine you have like the secret recipe for the most delicious cake in the world.
Okay,
But instead of keeping it a secret, you decide to share it with everyone.
okay,
That's kind of what DeepSeek has done with their AI.
right.
By making their code freely available, they've invited, the whole world to collaborate, to build on their work, to create new and unexpected applications.
Wow. So it's like instead of keeping their tech locked away in some, like,
Yeah.
secret lab, they've just thrown open the doors and say, come on in, let's build the future of AI together.
Exactly.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And that open source approach has had a profound impact. It's attracting top talent, fostering this vibrant community of developers, and really accelerating the pace of innovation.
That makes sense in a way that big tech, with their more, like, guarded approach,
Right.
just can't match.
Exactly.
So they've created this tidal wave of creativity and collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
That's just pushing the entire field forward at an insane speed.
Yeah.
And on top of all that, the article mentions they haven't even taken any outside funding. They're funding this whole AI revolution with their stock trading profits.
Pretty remarkable, right?
It's almost unheard of in today's world.
I know.
This DeepSeek story, it's like a masterclass in what it means to be truly innovative.
Yeah, it really is.
But let's shift gears for a second and talk about what this means for, like, the average person,
Okay.
the listener. Why should they care about all this? What's the takeaway?
That's a great question. And I think there are several key takeaways from this DeepSeek story that are relevant to everyone, whether you're in tech or not.
Okay.
First, it's a reminder that innovation can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
We tend to focus on the big players, the established companies. But DeepSeek has shown that sometimes the most disruptive ideas come from those who are willing to think differently,
Mm-hmm.
to challenge the status quo, to take risks.
So it's a reminder to not underestimate, like,
Yeah.
the little guy.
Exactly. And second, DeepSeek's story highlights the power of focus and commitment. They didn't try to do everything. They found their core strength, their AI algorithm, and went all in on that.
Mm-hmm.
In a world that's full of distractions, it's a good reminder that sometimes saying no to a lot of things
Right.
allows you to say yes to what really matters.
It's true. It's easy to, like, get spread too thin,
Right.
trying to do everything.
Yeah,
DeepSeek is a great example of how narrowing your focus can lead to greater impact.
absolutely. And finally, I think the DeepSeek story is a real testament to the potential of open collaboration.
Yeah.
By going open source, they've shown that we can do amazing things if
Mhm.
we work together, share knowledge and resources. It's a powerful kind of antidote to the competitive nature of the tech world.
So you're saying that DeepSeek's success isn't just about AI. It's about a different way of thinking
Yeah.
and working
Uh-huh.
and approaching innovation. Yeah, it really seems like they're challenging like fundamental assumptions,
Right.
about how we innovate, not just in tech, but like everywhere.
Yeah.
They've shown that you don't need massive resources or a big name to have an impact.
Uh-huh.
It's more about having a clear vision and taking risks
Mm.
and being open to collaboration, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it brings us back to that question we touched on earlier, about what happens when AI truly surpasses human intelligence.
Right.
The article ended on this really thought-provoking note, asking if it'll lead to collaboration or competition between humans and AI.
Yeah, it's a pretty big question to grapple with. It's like all those sci-fi movies where AI becomes either our helpful partner or our ultimate downfall. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's hard to say for sure, but I think it's important to approach AI development with like a sense of responsibility and foresight.
Right.
DeepSeek's commitment to open source is encouraging because it means that the progress of AI isn't controlled by just one company or government.
Right.
It's being developed more transparently and collaboratively, which will hopefully lead to better outcomes for everyone.
So it's not just about the tech itself, but also like the values and principles behind it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we need to be asking ourselves, not just can we do this, but should we do this?
Right, right.
And how can we do this responsibly?
We have to have those conversations now while AI is still in these like relatively early stages.
Yeah, absolutely. DeepSeek's story is a reminder that technology itself isn't inherently good or bad. It's how we use it that matters.
It's true. It really is up to us to shape the future of AI. It's exciting, but also like kind of daunting, right?
It is, but I'm optimistic that if we approach it with collaboration and transparency, a commitment to, ethical considerations, we can use its potential for good.
Yeah, I think that's a good takeaway from this DeepSeek story. It's not just about some startup disrupting tech. It's a wake-up call for all of us to really rethink our assumptions about innovation and collaboration and, the future we want to build.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
I would just say, pay attention to the unexpected. Keep an eye out for the underdogs, the ones who are challenging the status quo and pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to embrace new ideas. And remember, the future of AI, it's not set in stone. It's up to all of us to shape it in a way that benefits humanity.
That's a great point, and a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of AI and DeepSeek's incredible journey.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and those ideas flowing.